Today on Dive Talk.
This is day 2 of the KISS Exploration team here at Roaring River. And now we have a dive briefing.
No, it's fine. I was just noticing everybody's all clean and straight.
I wrote all the details that I could remember.
All right. So today's major objective will be the deep team laying line. So they'll be since all the safety equipment's already in, they'll be the priority getting in the water first. The next ones in, or well, not in. The next ones will be John and Eric will have to splash 40 minutes to an hour after we do. We've got Tony, we've got our run time listed at 3 hours. I was running some last night and I think we'll be closer to 2.5 hours. So if we do 25 minutes on the other side, we will have a 2-hour run time. If we do if we do our turn time at 30 minutes, so 5 more minutes gives us an extra 30 minutes of deco. So we want to really stay close to that. We need to be out of the restriction. So that gives us a few minutes to get down, and then about 25 minutes on the other side.
Mike H is going to be your deep team safety diver shield.
So Mike H and Gus. Oh, there's Mike H. Mike H and Gus will be the deep safety divers. You'll have the slate, and you'll meet okay, so you guys need to splash probably right at 30 minutes after we go under. If for some reason we're early and we're above the restriction, you can meet us and check that everybody's okay. And if everybody's okay, you guys go on down to the restriction. If you want to run through a couple times for practice, that's cool. Gus gets to see it. And then on your way back through, we'll fill out the slate. And if for some reason we are not out of the restriction, stay at the restriction maybe 5 minutes, kind of in that range. If we're still not out, go up to above 190 or so that your decompression is just less. But don't wait. I mean, you could even go up higher than that to wait, and when you see lights, then come down with the slate. And
what if we get to the restriction and are waiting there for like 2 minutes and you guys are coming out? What do we do? Wait for you to come through? Wait up?
Just move on up. Just move on up the line, and it'd be a good idea.
Space.
It'd be a good idea to actually be on the line, okay? Because if we're coming out and we stir it up, I mean, the viz will go to 0 like that.
Got it.
Right, Woody? I told Woody to get the line. He's
Here's
like,
what I saw yesterday. For a second I saw that. You gotta hold the line.
And then it was gone. Okay, so then Greg will be in charge of who to send down to Mike H and times on that. Fernando is going to need a safety diver. Oh, I thought you were going to independent.
Well, for the first dive, I'm going to go down with him to see how he actually does it, because yesterday didn't work too well.
Gotcha.
And then after we do a dive with him, I can go back and go a little deeper and try doing it myself.
Okay, so who do we have of safety divers that have not been allocated?
I have no tasks.
And
I can
Greg.
dive with Gail, I can do whatever.
Well, I mean, the only 2 safety divers I got is Greg and Bob.
I can meet the team coming up if
Yeah,
Mike wants
I can
to
do that too.
run with
whatever.
Gail on the second time trip. I mean, Fernando.
Okay.
Yeah, there won't be a lot of work to do. So you can help safety until Gail goes, or Yeah, you're gonna be bored until Gail gets back.
Or just come with us and, you know, but
I can follow you guys and shadow and watch.
Because the alternative will be if we both have a safety diver, to have the safety divers a little bit above us. We work, I do like one transect. If girl is comfortable with that, then she can go deeper without like going to the surface and then down. As you
You
prefer.
guys work as a team today.
Great. Three of us.
Just do your splash whenever it's convenient and it's not crowded.
right, the traffic's a little less.
And
Fernando, how deep and where are you going to be?
So I will try again to go for the 130 and 30. So I will.
They're going on the back line, completely away from us.
I was saying about getting a documentary video for him. So we may have to set something up tomorrow if you still have air tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else going in the habitats other than that monitor and the weights?
No.
Up and take it back, or not. I'm sorry, not my good.
Hit the green check mark to silence the alarm, but if the alarm goes off for any reason, respond accordingly, and then make sure the 2 white dots on top do not get wet.
Like explosion?
No, they'll just stop working. Just
No, just expensive.
Okay.
yeah, just
Exploding
white
walls.
dots. Don't get any water
That'll
splash.
be the most expensive paperweight you ever bought.
The thing is not waterproof. It's water resistant, kinda.
Except the 2 white dots.
Yeah. Don't touch that.
All right, so everybody has an assignment. Tony, got anything to add?
Look me in the eye when you submerge. I'm not kidding you. Look me in the eye when you submerge. Just like when you look me yesterday and I called out a count time to you. Don't assume I can hear you say, I'm going under this time, because I missed one yesterday. Also, meet your timelines, and I think that's all I got. I think it'll go good today.
All right. Yesterday we did get kind of confusing because we had a lot of people trying to go at the same time. We need to try to stagger that out a little bit and have priorities on what's going. So you guys will have a relatively short dive compared to the others, and so I would say you guys just wait until they're, yeah.
After your first stop off, I'll get you stay up. And if you want to go to restriction, there tomorrow, we'll get you down there, okay?
Tomorrow's plan's going to be changed a little bit because I didn't realize the Gus and Woody are going to be gone, and so whatever's
Some of
written
the rest of us probably ought to be on the road by about noon.
Got a 10-hour drive.
So probably tomorrow we'll just do some cleanup stuff, and keep it real simple. Except for you guys need to run the scooter tomorrow. Yeah. So
They'll be firsting.
well,
Too much cleanup.
actually not Eric. It'll be just John and Randall. So we'll get stuff cleaned up except for what you guys will need for emergency.
We're going to be the 2 worst buddies ever, the scooter diver and the camera diver. People who don't pay attention.
The 2 people that don't pay attention at all are going to be completely ignoring each other in the same swimming pool.
They're independent diving buddies.
Yeah.
But with
You might
loud
drag
voices.
them along with you.
That Mike, if there is enough gas for tomorrow, I would like to do tomorrow the 30 and 20 meter deep
Yes, we will
transects.
make arrangements to have gas for you.
So what depth do you want me to go after we do, practice at 130?
So
All right.
Let's down from 220 to 120, Gil.
They're going to modify that.
That's fine.
What
Another
Gail
30
needs.
meters, so 160.
Lots to do, lots to gear up.
170.
What's your job? I didn't hear.
My
your
job is basically whatever Randall and Mike say, I say underwater, and I just do what literally they tell me to do.
So we're going to send him with a line. He's going to lay line in a virgin part of the cave.
How about that?
No one's
Also,
ever been there.
The reel is this big.
And you got 20 minutes.
Luckily, look, I mean, I have great people with me,
I
so
assume we'll be
do the
down
best I
at
can. But I'm pretty excited because I've never done that. I've never had my eyes on a virgin cave,
Minutes or so?
so that is pretty incredible.
Okay, you're pretty quick.
Appreciative of that opportunity.
He is. He has shook me.
Right.
I don't care if it's clear cave. You keep your hand on that line. He's right. The other day in here, it took like 2 seconds to lose the line. And that's it. I lost it.
I'm like, it's right there, but it's right. It's not right there. He was right. I'm not. So today, the second I come out of there, it can go gone in a second. And you actually feel better holding it anyway. It's like, whatever. I can't see anything, but I know I'm going up. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Yeah, everything is so soft in there. I mean,
I know.
it goes quick.
I touched the wall for 1 second thinking it was rock in my hand. Oh my God, that was total mud.
All right, so we're back for dive number 2 on day 2. Now, for those of you who didn't watch dive 1, please go ahead and stop this one and go watch that, because on dive number 1, Randall, the cameraman, had an issue with the camera. It was detecting water or humidity inside the housing, and he had to get out. Camera survived.
That's coming through the restriction.
Yep.
It was pretty easy the second day because,
Yeah.
you've already been through it.
You came through the restriction on that one. But yeah, so the camera survived. Luckily, it was water detected on the monitor part of it. He has like an external monitor. We were talking about that.
Okay.
And he just removed it for day 2. So here we are. You guys come in and you right away get to work. Notice that the tank that Mike set up on day 1 is there. So you guys don't have to spend any time on that. That's what day 1 was about, setting up to be able to do what you're about to do on day 2.
So I'm pretty excited on this dive because I know that Mike told me I'm going to give you the reel, and I'd never used a reel like this before. These are cave exploration reels, this giant thing, and you're gonna run the line.
Yeah.
Like, so there's like a wall on your right?
Yeah.
But it looks like a stone wall, but there's nowhere to tie the line off on that wall. Gus, it's all mud. We're not used to that in Florida.
Yeah,
it's all stone, right?
Right.
It's just if you grab that wall or put the line on what appears to be something sticking out, it's mud.
Yeah.
It's total mud. So I was like, what are we going to do? Well, Mike brought like these anchors. They almost look like giant screws, right? And he's trying to screw them in, and then we would tie the line off on those. Even that didn't hold.
Yeah,
Finally, he actually does find a tie-off place. And
yeah, so you both head out, and those are the screws, the orange ones right there.
Yeah,
and if you notice the line goes down on the left, but the right side of this big room had never been explored, and that's what you guys were going to go do.
Yep. So I have that reel, which I've never held a reel that big before.
It's like 2 hands almost.
Well, I was adjusting my buoyancy for a second because I'm like, all right, how am I
And you have your new wing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Mike rigged up my new X-Deep pink harness. So,
that's right.
Cool.
And people saw this before the dive. There was footage of you working with Mike on the wing.
Now, the gauge, you see the gauge sticking up on the right?
Like
Let me explain what
antenna.
happened. Mike accidentally had the 2 tanks flip-flopped. but he's like, don't worry about it. There aren't, like in Florida, things that's going to get hung up on.
Right.
He
Yeah, this
knew
room is
that
massive.
ahead of time. He said, I would not let you do that, and we could re-rig that, but you don't need to. So I said, okay, if you tell me that's the case.
So he just tried to put a screw on the wall, plastic screw, and that didn't work.
And it kills the visibility for me after he does that.
Yeah.
So I'm just coming along, and
With the giant reel.
And look, no one's been where I am right now. Like, I can't explain the feeling, but it's my first time.
Dude, you're
ever.
doing awesome. Look at the tank trim, actual trim.
I was trying to be
Doing
so
great.
careful.
That's awesome.
I did not want to, like, screw up and have Mike be like, dude, you're out of control.
Now, as you saw on the briefing, Mike Henry, and I were the deep safety divers. So we were waiting for 30 minutes.
Where
So
were
guys-
you? Where were you
You guys
at?
went. We were literally in the water, just waiting
At what depth?
at 0 feet. Like
You were ready to come in if we have.
we had to wait 30 minutes before we went in because we wanted to meet you guys on the way out.
Okay.
There was no point because we were not going to go through a restriction to head out with you guys and then wait at the restriction racking up deco.
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah. So we waited 30 minutes. Here's Mike. He's trying his best to find a place to tie the line, and you're just there waiting.
I was just waiting because honestly, I just like I don't know what to do.
Right.
I mean, I really don't, and I just listen to the boss. My boss in this dive is Mike Young.
Right.
Period.
He is the
Without-
lead diver, yeah?
That's it. He's a lead diver, and I'm going to do what he tells me to do.
Yeah, and he's trying right here to find places to tie. That's why he took the reel for a second from you.
Thank you, Patrick, for that wing. I'm looking at it. Man, it looks cool.
Looks cool, yeah. The X-Deep wing. Mike also has X-Deep.
Now, I think I think we did film that I gave the reel to Mike at some point because he's
trying
he
to find
does
a place
find
to tie
some
up.
like rock or something, and I'm like, okay, nope, yep, you better do that.
Yeah.
I think, by the way, we're at about 250, 260.
Now, I wanna show right here something. Mike is tying up, and you have your light on it. You're helping him out. That's how cave diving works in a team. The dive number 2 lights up while diver number 1, the lineman, will do the tie up. So you guys finish. I think you lay like 200 feet of line, 60 meters or so of new cave explore, and now you're heading back out.
So now that line is there. I mean, it's there and they're going to go further and further. And I think Mike, in a few weeks, is now going to be going
Past
deeper,
500.
past what he went before.
Yeah.
Which will be the deepest, I think, in the U.S.
That's right.
If I'm correct.
Yep.
That for deepest cave dive in the U.S. Mm-hmm. If he and they don't know exactly what depth it goes down to.
How far it goes, yeah. So there you go. You guys are on the way back from the 60 meters you laid, the 200 feet you laid.
So I'm just looking at the line
You're following the line you laid.
because I'm like
On the way out. How cool
it-
is that?
Tricky on the viz, so I'm on my side looking at the line.
Yeah. Remember, the camera sees more than us, the naked eye. Yeah.
No, I couldn't see in front of me.
Right.
I remember. I was like, I can't see barely anything.
Mm-hmm.
And we get back to the restriction. It's kind of relieving, by the way, when you do get back there. I remember being like, okay, we're back where we started.
Job done. Yeah.
And nice job filming, Randall. He's back there just hovering, watching us.
Yep. So at this point, we had already started our descent
Okay.
to meet with you guys. And you notice that you're already getting ready to go through the restriction, getting back out.
Yep.
So this is the restriction right here. We're going to get out and go.
Notice that we're both vented getting ready to go up. Did you see that? I started lowering my ring volume, and so did Mike. Interesting. We didn't plan that because we know
As soon as you go up.
it's straight up.
Yeah. As soon as
Straight
you go up, it's going to expand and it's going to take you up. So you start.
Like,
So he
that's
just
it.
told you, like, you go.
Like,
You're like,
okie dokie.
okay.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
That right tank was dangling, by the way, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm noticing it. I had a sliding D-ring.
Slid down.
Adjustable. It slid down,
Yeah.
and I couldn't readjust it.
And look
so
how
I'm
bad the
getting different ones.
visibility gets
Yeah.
pretty much as soon as you start going through.
Yeah, you see nothing. You
There's
got to be.
Mike.
You got to be on the line.
And then run the one. Yeah. So what happened here is, as you guys were going up, as we planned during the briefing, the idea was if we caught you on the way up and everybody was good, us as safety divers, we were going to move on all the way to the restriction.
Okay.
Mike Henry was going to go through again, and I wanted to see it at least because I don't think I could fit, and at least seeing it in person, I can make a call. But
So
here's me passing you on the way up. This is after the
So you
incident.
already had your incident.
I already have my incident here, and I'm going to pause it and talk about it because
Talk about it in two ways. Talk about the incident and then why. Why did it happen? What was going on? How you dealt with it?
Right. Let's finish the video and then I'll talk about it.
And by the way, we had no idea you had an incident. Understand that?
No.
You were totally calm around us, so we're like,
Yeah.
I was like, hey man, what's going on?
It doesn't look like I almost just died when I was passing you. I'm like beep beep, just on the way up, and that was another one of those that you're happy when you see, the depth going down and down and down. You're like, okay, I'm gonna make it.
Exactly.
Don't worry, I got this. But I'll talk about it in a second.
So we're decoing there, by the way. The reason we're stopped, I want to say that's like 170.
Yeah, this is above that. Like,
is it already?
Like 80 feet or so,
Okay.
something like that.
But we had
around 30
deco
meters.
pretty deep.
Yeah. And then
I was running a 40-70 gradient factor.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody's wondering.
Yep. So there you are on the line, and you're all following the line up. Yeah, I was hoping for better visibility at Roaring River, to be honest.
It's pretty tough.
But, yeah, I mean, there were parts there was zero. I mean, just nothing.
Get the gas out of the wing there. Yeah, we're still moving up from there.
Yep.
Yeah, now I got new D-ring on that right tank. I bought
And
that.
people can see the battery, too. They got caught up on the last video, on your exit.
You wanted to give a reminder of that?
No, just people, maybe they were like, I wonder how the battery looks. Well, there you go. That's
I'm just joking with you, but that is the battery that pretty much. Oh, okay. So I'd never been in a habitat before. This is another new for Woody. There was one at 40 feet and another one at 20 feet.
Yep.
So the first one we stop at is the 40-foot one.
Yep.
And we take our tanks off.
Yep. So let's talk about what a habitat is.
They take our tanks off.
Yep. So let's talk about what a habitat is. So basically, because you have to spend the vast majority of your time during decompression at very well-known depths, like 20 feet or 6 meters and 40 or 12 meters, what some expeditions do is they set up this thing called a decompression habitat where you can actually step in, be out of the cold water. You are able to remove the loop or the rebreather out of your mouth.
Halfway out of the water. Your core's out.
Yeah. Well, some habitats you can get all the way out.
Yes.
Some habitats you can get up to your knees.
But these were about halfway.
These ones are waist up kind of thing. But the idea is that you can stand out there, take the loop out of your mouth, just breathe normal because the habitat is kept at a specific PO2, and talk to each other. Hey, how you doing or whatever. But the cool thing is you take the tanks off, and you can see Mike right here is helping remove yours. Right? Yes. Leave the tanks hanging outside the habitat so you can step in.
Yes. Now, how they keep the habitat at the right PO2 and not building up CO2 is very interesting.
That's a whole video on its own.
There's a CO2 sensor in both of the habitats, and we're able to detect the PO2 by actually breathing the air in the habitat, blowing it into our loop. Breathing, blowing it into our loop. So our loop is now reading the PO2 of the habitat.
Yeah.
But when it would go down, Mike would fire like this O2 cylinder, and it was like cloudy. And I'm just watching, right? I'm like, and I see this cloud going
normal?
like, is this? And what is the cloud?
Is this normal?
Like, is that supposed to happen? And Mike's just doing a million things, and then the CO2 sensor was going nuts. Beep, 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 beep. And they're like conversing, like, well, is it high CO2 or is there something wrong with the sensor? I'm like, I'm putting my loop back in my mouth. I'm going back on my loop, right? I'm on my loop until I don't see that CO2 sensor anymore because I don't know. Right, I'm like, I'm staying in the loop, guys. I'm good.
I'm okay. We don't have to talk right now.
That's what was
That's
going
cool.
on.
Yeah, so
Hopefully
there you
we
go. So
showed it.
he's taking everything off.
And they have clips right there on the
Yeah.
And they also, Gus, they have extra weights because we're going to traverse from this habitat at 40 feet to the one at 20 feet without our tanks.
Yeah.
Now, there are safety divers with us all along the way.
Of course.
So don't think we're like taking big risks. They're right there with us. But it's kind of cool not to have to put your tanks back on.
Yeah.
But if you don't put clip weights on while you're making that traverse, you do not want to artificially ascend when you're on this kind of a deco. You know how long we were in the 20-foot one for? An hour.
Right? Yeah.
So that is no chance of an accident.
Yep.
So we do that as well.
Yeah, the 20-foot habitat is the one that you spend the most time on.
Yes.
Because, that's the longest deco. But one of the things that, I don't know if people saw it on the briefing, is that this is a whole team effort, right? There's the main explorers, but there's deep safety divers, which I was part of. There was shallow safety divers. There's extra divers that are ready to go in case they're needed. I mean, it's a big, big team. I think there were 12 of us or something like that, right?
Incredible team effort to make this happen.
You can see
And
the
they
tanks
come and
out
get
there.
the tanks. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have to worry. The team, there are people, every day you got a syllabus.
Yeah.
This is what you're doing. This is the time you're doing it. This is what your role is. Everybody had a role.
Yeah.
It's like clockwork.
It's awesome.
And Mike is the orchestrator.
Yeah, the lead
He
diver.
set
and-
all this up. The habitats, by the way, I was also interested in, like, how are they staying there? They're up against the roof
Yeah.
by air pressure.
Yeah.
They're not like bolted in or anything like that.
No.
And they're not moving. They could easily, we were all standing in them, no problem.
Yep. So here we go. Time for you to get in.
My first moment ever in a habitat, and it's pretty wild.
Yeah. So
You're
you just
standing
stand up
on these like
and then get
ledges.
out, which is pretty cool. And okay, so I think we should talk about what happened to me. Like, why did I have the scariest?
Yeah,
the
you go.
scariest
You go.
diving?
I'm just gonna listen again.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was when we do this deep dives, and I was going down to 220 feet, which is the depth of the restriction. That's where the deep diving safety team is supposed to be stationed, as you heard on the briefing. Well, when we do that, we have a shallow gas and a deep gas. The deep gas is the gas that is safe to breathe and has a low, basically
Oxygen.
NARC equivalent depth, let's just say, of 100 feet or so. That's typically how it's set up. So it's trimix. It's helium and, air mixed up. So I also have a shallow gas, which is used in case of an emergency, in case I have to get out, because there's decompression tanks all over the place, as you saw. So there's pure oxygen, there's 50% oxygen, there's tanks staged at different depth in case of an emergency, like a bailout situation, and I have to do my deco on open circuit. So what happens is the Spirit and the Sidewinder, the two rebreathers, are a little bit different. On the Spirit, you connect everything on one side, whereas on the Sidewinder is split. Like, some things go on the right tank, some things go on the left tank. So on my Spirit, when I have my trimix, which is always on the left, I connect my Spirit to the left side, and that feeds the loop with trimix. On the Sidewinder is on the right hand side, and I made a mistake. I plugged in my loop, my Sidewinder, into my shallow gas, which was air. Right? So the challenge with that is, as we've talked about endlessly here on Dive Talk, is that you start getting narked on air at 100 feet or so. Most people, right? Some people feel it at 60. Some people don't really feel it that much.
Dude, this is
Yeah.
crazy.
So you start getting narked at 100. And as you know, when you get narked, it's hard for you to concentrate. It's hard for you to think straight. Some people think they can breathe underwater. It depends on the level of narked that you have. So I'm basically breathing air. Air is my diluent, is my mix. I'm basically breathing air, and I'm set to go down to 220 feet or whatever it is on air, right?
You must have been feeling
Right.
like
So I'd
completely narked.
run into you guys around 80 feet or 100 feet, something like that. I run into you guys. You're all good. I'm still thinking straight. I'm on air, but I'm at 100 feet, so it's not a big deal. You're good? Yeah, everybody? Okay, cool. Mike, are you ready? Mike Henry, my dive buddy. Yeah, let's go. So we start going, and he's zero vis at that point. We start going down, and I'm going in front, and Mike is supposed to be behind me. So at some point, I start noticing my PO2 going up and up and up and up, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. Like what?
But explain it, because the deeper you go, your partial pressure of your oxygen automatically goes up, right?
Right.
Because you're going deeper.
Yeah.
Which
So
normally you would be able to lower by bringing in the appropriate diluent.
right.
Down the PO2.
That's right. So just to make it super short, humans breathe air at a partial pressure of oxygen that is within a range, is let's say from 16% or 0.16 to 1.6. Let's just say that, all right, to keep it simple. Anything above 1.6 is dangerous. You shouldn't exceed 1.6. Why? Because we determine that's the number for most people where it starts being dangerous.
And
right?
dangerous means you will
can have a
convulse
convulsion
without
and
warning.
pass out.
Without warning.
Without warning. That's right. So I start going down, and we're in zero vis, and there's a restriction on Roaring River at 160 feet. Now, I go through this restriction, which it didn't feel like a restriction. I just angled my body and went through. Didn't even hit it and kept going down. Mike, who's behind me, says that he hasn't seen anyone go through that restriction without silting it out completely.
And is this is the other Mike?
Mike Henry.
Mike
yes.
Henry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he says that when he got to the 160 restriction, it wasn't silted out. So he was like, okay, well, Gus didn't make it because he would have destroyed visibility here. All of us do. But I did make it. I was going down, right? So I just kept going down and down and down. Mike Henry turned around at 160. He's like, Gus hasn't gone through. I guess I missed him in the zero vis. Let me go back up. So he turns around and starts going back up.
Okay.
So I'm alone going down.
Did you not know you were alone at that point because
No.
of the viz? Okay.
Because of the vis, yeah. So I don't know I'm alone, and I'm going down 160, 170, 180 on air. 190, 200.
Oh my! You went to 200 on air.
Right.
I'd be out of my mind.
So at 200, right around 180, I start feeling weird. I assume, I've never done drugs, but I assume drugs make you feel like this. Like my whole body was tingly, right? It just felt weird. And I start thinking about stupid stuff. Like, I wish I had my camera with me. This is so cool. You know, I wish I could be recording how my PO2 is going up. So the line that goes through the restriction at 220 feet kind of ties into the wall at 208. So I get to the tight point, and my PO2 is crazy. It's like 1.7, right? At 208. So I'm like, okay, 1.6 is bad. 1.7 is worse. When am I gonna convulse? Right? When is it coming? Is it coming now? Is it coming now?
And no one was with
Is
you.
it coming now? No. So I'm like, okay, well, the best thing I can do is, number one, get trim and buoyancy under control. So I get there, I hit, whatever, at air, whatever, and I'm hovering right next to the tie of a 208.
Okay.
Hovering. And I'm looking at my computer and I'm like, why the hell is my PO2 so high? Still like bust. Still out of it, right? So I'm like, okay, let me think. How do I lower this thing? Oh yeah, dill flush.
Oh no.
So I dill flush. Basically exchange all of the air on my rebreather for air.
I gotta do the math, but that's gotta be a high PO2.
1.68.
There you go.
So I flush. My PO2 is 1.68. Again, way outside the comfort zone, way outside safety limits. They tell you not to go above 1.4. 1.6 is dangerous. I was at 1.68 after a flush. And I'm like, okay, that's not good. Let me think about this. Okay. Oh, maybe the trickle of oxygen it's raising it. So let me shut it down. So I hit my shut off valve, test it. No oxygen is flowing into it. Dill flush again. Just again, replace everything for air. I look at it again, 1.69 or whatever it was. And I'm like, Okay, so I guess I'm gonna die now. Like I don't. Why am I not convulsing?
Yeah.
Like instead of going up, I'm thinking this. I remember. I'm thinking like, why am I not? I wonder what a seizure feels like. I'm thinking this. I wonder what a seizure feels like. I wonder if the seizure will break my trim. Like, am I going out of trim or will I be seizuring in trim? That would be weird if I seizure on trim. I'm thinking all of this instead of going up. At some point, and what reminded me that I even had a buddy, because I am oblivious. At some point I say, I wonder if Mike can see how good my trim is right now. So I turn around and I'm like, hey, Mike, what? All I see is blackness. I'm alone at 208 feet, breathing air. My whole body's lit up in tingles. I'm tingling everywhere. My head, my feet, everything. I'm like, whoa.
You're pretty narked at that point.
Dude, I was so out of it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm alone. I should probably go find my buddy. All right, so let me start going up. So I start going up and up and up and up. At some point, I hit like 130 feet, 137, something like that. A little bit over 40 meters. And I hit my O2 back on. So I remembered to do that. Hit it back on again.
And are you feeling like you're getting clearer?
Yeah, my PO2 was like 1.3 at that time, 1.2.
You're getting clearer in your mind?
Yes, absolutely. I'm getting better. I'm like, okay, I feel better. I'm going to make it. I'm not going to die today. This is great. I'm going to make it. And I keep going. And all of a sudden, I run into you.
Yeah.
I remember,
you look fine. You're like,
in very uncharacteristic fashion, I remember I'm like, move.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. I'm like, move, dude. We just went, like, why not high five me? I do remember. I'm like, yeah, dude, I just did something I've never done in my life, and you're just rude and like,
yeah. And I probably let
we thought that's normal,
little,
so we thought, oh, Gus is okay. Well,
what are you doing? You know, there was a lot of that.
So we thought, well, he's normal. He's being rude and obnoxious, so everything's good with Gus.
So anyway, I keep going up and up and up. I think my first stop was at like 70 feet or something. So for like a minute or two or something. And then I just keep going up. Once I make it to like 40, that's when I feel like I'm going to survive today. I'm going to make it. To 40 feet. Until that point, I'm like, I might have a seizure right now. I don't know how this works. I just know I just spent like 5 minutes at 1.7 PO2.
It doesn't linger. So once you lower that PO2, you're done. You're out of that.
So I was at like 40 feet. That's when I find Mike Henry. And I just look at him and he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yes, but there's more to it. Wait until we're out. I'm going to tell you what I think. And so I make it to 20 feet and I make it all the way out. And I'm talking to Mike and that's when he tells me, he's like, dude, I didn't think you made it to that restriction at 160. That's why I didn't go. And man, it was very, very close. But the moral of the story is I feel like that was totally my fault, obviously, for not thinking about the fact that I'm plugging my rebreather into my shallow gas instead of my deep gas. So that was 100% my fault. And the fact that I didn't bail out. So I feel like if I just like, oh, I'm having this problem, let me bail out and think about it, which is perfectly fine. My necklace regulator was on trimix. It would have immediately cleared my head and be like, oh, what am I doing? And like get out of there, right? I didn't do that. I didn't bail out because my rebreather was working. I think the scariest part was the fact that I wasn't task loaded, and I think that's what made me get out of there. Because if on top of the fact that my PO2 was so high and that I was narked out of my mind, if on top of that, let's say my light fails or I lose the line or something like that, it would have been game over.
I would have had the new co-host.
Yeah, I think. I think that the fact that I was on trim and buoyant and that allowed me not to lose the line was a very, very big reason why I made it out. And like I told you on the way out, I think during dinner or whatever, I said, look, I think, Gus from 2 years ago would have died today. All that training, all of the effort that we put in with Dive Talk and talking about safety and, practice what you're doing, really, took me out of there. And I don't feel like, well, I already did it once. I can do it again. I'm never doing that again. Not diving deep. I'm doing that. I can do that tomorrow if I could. But being so reckless about plugging things in and going in without double checking, because I've done it so many times that I wasn't even thinking, because I haven't been deep on the Sidewinder. I've been over 250 feet on the Spirit, but not on the Sidewinder. So that made me think about, like, I need to do a better job understanding where I'm plugging, where a lot better. So I'm not making that mistake again. So that was big.
But this is not the end either of this.
No.
Right? There's more.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, we spent a lot more time on the 20-foot habitat.
Like an hour.
Yeah. And because of that, we felt that we should probably hook up the team, because we're not going to be there every month. They go there every month. And kind of accessorize the habitat a little bit.
Yeah, needed some decorating, I would say.
I think so. Make it more homey, right?
And brighten it up, like, add a nice, pleasant atmosphere.
Positive.
Loving, nourishing, catering, warm type of thing.
Warm, I think, is the key word, because it's cold water, and we wanted to bring in some warmth to it. So we went to Walmart there in Cassville, Missouri, and we picked up some things to accessorize the habitat at 20 feet.
Which looks much better now.
I thought it was good. I thought we nailed it. So this is Woody and Mike going back down after the dive. I wasn't going to go back in the water, but you guys went back into the habitat to accessorize it. So here's Mike. There he is. And you are recording. You're holding the camera on this time. And you step in to accessorize the habitat. I feel like we could have crowdsourced this one, like ask people what should we do. They would have come up with better ideas, but I think our ideas were pretty good.
I think it looks much better now.
Yeah, for sure. So Woody and I basically went and said, let's pick 2 items, 1 item each, to make this more homey and make it more warm, like you mentioned, like home feel.
Yeah, I felt
embracing
and after we did it, I felt love
That's
around
right.
me.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm not the best photographer.
You're not. Yeah, you're not.
Randall.
Jonathan Bird over here.
Jonathan Bird, I'm sorry if you're watching this. I shouldn't even use the word photography.
So this is what the habitat looks on the inside. Now notice there's stuff hanging, which is the cell phones. This is cool. You can watch movies.
We did, by the way.
While you're on Deco.
Which we did.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. They were watching 13 Lives while cave diving. How cool is that? I can't hear what you're saying. It's hard because of the You're looking for like a place to put it on?
I'm trying to present this to Mike, like this special moment. There's a lot of love about to be spread.
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell.
I didn't get the reaction I thought from Mike. It's weird.
You didn't love it?
I just thought I didn't get like a tear.
Yeah, we expected tears.
A little something
for
special.
Sure. Picking this, we expected tears. So here we go.
Mike has no idea what I'm about to, bring out.
It's taking a while. But here we go.
It's just about spreading love and nourishment and care and gentleness.
Yeah. I wanted people that go into this habitat to feel like, aw, like when they saw. Look, this is what love grows here.
Love grows here,
and then a picture of it, which I thought
it's beautiful.
What?
Look,
I mean, look at that picture and tell me you don't feel warm.
Felt safe.
That's right.
I was like, we're all on Sidewinders, and Ed is the Sidewinder guy, and I'm like,
and more importantly,
so now Ed is watching.
He's such a loving person.
That's what Ed does. He's like a guardian, and he's about to watch us from where I put him.
That's right.
He's going to be put. I couldn't get the tape to work.
Yeah, our goal was to stick it to the wall, right?
Yeah,
like a picture frame, but
that doesn't work when it's
wet, and you
couldn't get it off. It's all wet, so we stuck him from where he should be,
from above,
like the love of your spirit.
That's right. Yeah, And that's the first thought. Every time I see Ed, I'm like, oh.
I mean, but I do feel like Ed belongs in
For
this.
sure,
Because,
for sure.
I mean, is there a explorer in the world that is as badass as Ed? I mean, come on. He deserves to be in that
sure,
thing with us.
for sure,
We're
yeah.
all in Sidewinders. He taught me how to use the Sidewinder, so
Absolutely.
felt pretty good to have Ed next to the sign that
I loved
says, love
Love grows here.
grows here.
That's right. I don't remember.
See that? I finally got it off, and I'm like, this is zero stick.
Yeah.
Mike, so
let's
Mike,
put it up here.
there he is.
There he
Looking
is.
right down at all of us.
Aw.
Hi, Ed. And look at the picture of him. Look at the ripped shirt. It's like,
Exactly. That's dude, you're about to rip the ceiling and like water will rush in. No, but you can see the ceiling of the cave actually.
right, it's wedged right up against there.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah, forget it.
Mike took over my engineering skills.
There you go. Love grows here. And Ed.
So Ed is in Roaring River.
That's right. All right. Well,
I think we did our job. It's definitely accessorized, and it's
I-
definitely. Don't you feel
Much better.
Oh, I know how you feel. Oh,
oh,
precious.
yep. I mean, we could have done teddy bears or whatever, but that's not enough.
No.
We needed next level. Aw. Anyway,
I just can't look at you with the. Oh.
I hope everyone enjoyed dive number 2. A lot of firsts on this dive. It was awesome to be part of the team, right?
Unbelievable.
And, yeah,
Unbelievable
very, very
for me
proud.
to learn what it takes to really be able to do something like this. It's so far above our level. Like, could you and I organize a cave exploration now that you saw all of that?
We struggled to get there.
It's
Yeah.
the next level.
I mean, the 4 Seasons was nice.
And that is the guys like the Eds and the Mikes and the Brian Kickhooks and the, you know, the Patrick Wood. I mean, these
The
guys
people that
are
we look
at
up
a
to.
different level. We're kind of recreational cave divers.
Yeah.
I mean, the caves we do are already explored. There's lines set at them. These guys are exploring brand new territory.
Yeah. It's good to have the skills to be able to do this safely, of course. But these guys are a whole new level.
There.
Yep. So before we went, we had to stop to have a brief discussion with someone who has been helping the team on Roaring River, and we didn't want to leave without saying thank you and, you know, thanking him for his support. But this is where we stop. Thank you so much all for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, so this is Joel, and he's the park superintendent, and he was the big driving force allowing us to get the permit to dive this beautiful system. And so, personally, I'd like to thank you, Joel.
Well,
And,
absolutely.
Definitely. As I was just saying to him, thank you so much for allowing it and supporting it. I know it's a ton of logistics that you make available, and just it's not even just the cave system; it's the whole park in general. I mean, you're everybody that came up to us has amazing pride that this belongs, you know, to them, to the state of Missouri. And,
Oh, absolutely.
You feel it in the community.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's a wonderful gift that we were actually, the state of Missouri was able to get in 1928. So I mean, we're an older park, but we're very large. We've actually doubled in size until that gift was actually given to us. So
That's awesome.
currently have about 4,000 some odd acres. We have several caves. Actually, we have over 50 caves that are even just on
Wow.
site here.
Amazing.
49 more to explore.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, there's so much history here. I mean, you know, back to the Native Americans also, and what the trout hatchery's been here about 100 years.
It started as a private industry. It actually used to have a grissom mill right
Yeah.
there where the spring pool was, and it got burnt down. There used to be a total of 3 of them here on site. They used to have a swimming pool right here. They'd pump the water straight from the spring. And of course, they did not heat it. No, they did not heat that. Of course, we're a CCC park
back
Yeah,
then.
they were tougher.
You know, you see all the amazing stonework that was all mined here. All the stone came from Roaring River. We have an actual Camp Smoky as our CCC camp. So there's tons and tons of history here. Just tons of it.
Pretty cool. Well,
We appreciate your time, man.
Nope. Thank you.
again.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and that's a wrap from Roaring River. I would like to say thank you to Don and Roaring River Resort and RV Park.
They've donated the accommodations for us during this exploration, and without that help, it would have been a lot harder, for sure. And Don, we really appreciate that.
You're welcome. We're glad
Thanks,
we were able
Don.
to help.
Thanks for having us. It's
Thanks
great
for
here.
staying with us. We appreciate it. So,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
By the way, that's quite.
Thank
the
you
handshake
everyone from
you have.
watching. Yeah,
Sam, that thing, that's solid.
legit. That's what I'm saying. Over and out.
It's a wrap.
Bye, everybody.